The board game Dominion is a fantastic deck building game. The only problem is it comes in lots of little boxes because there's so many expansions and massive amounts of cards. It's a fantastic game. So I decided to make a box that could hold the base game and all the expansions. Last week I showed kind of the features of the box. This week, let's take a look at how that box was built. The majority of the materials for this box was about 3/4 of a 1/2 inch 4 foot by 8 foot sheet of plywood. The first thing we're doing here is we're measuring out the different portions of our box. I used what's called miter joints for this box, which you'll see here in a second, but basically that is 245 joints that you can basically cut into the wood and then fold that wood together. It is helpful to label the parts of your box and to ensure that your lines are well laid out where you're going to make your cuts. Now, once you have your lines laid out, you can set up your straight edge guide in order to make some cuts. This particular straight edge guide is the Craig system. It's a very nice system, and it allows you to set up exactly where your saw is going to be cutting. Now I set the depth of my router using this router depth gauge. I did this for both the dados for the shelves of the box and the miters for the 45s of the box. After your router is set up, it's time for lots and lots of router cut passes. Now, after you're done with all those router passes, you will have your miters cut, and also I had my dados cut for the shelves. Now we just have to cut out the corners of the box, and we're ready to start gluing and folding. And here's our box. Once those corners are cut out, I will just glue it up from here. We'll use tape for the initial hold, and then we'll clamp it down for the final glue up. there it is, all terribly taped up and clamped, but it's glued up, and that's going to be a very strong box. And here it is, once all the clamps and everything is pulled off. Here's our finished main box. Here's where those dados that we cut earlier come into play. This is for the shelves for the different components or compartments in the Dominion box. Now, to come up with a way to hold the starting cards and to also have a front door for this box, I looked at making these slides and had to kind of design a way for that front box to come in and out of the full box. This is what it will look like once the front and that top piece are in place. Now, to create a handhold so that you can pull that front door out, I just used this small little socket wrench in order to design this, and then drew a line straight across, and then use a jigsaw in order to cut that out. I set up a grid-like pattern to hold the initial cards. This is so that when you pull off the front, you can have all of your starting cards in one place, and you can quickly set up the game much faster than pulling out each individual stacks. Now, I forgot to record myself creating this portion, but I cut out a plexiglass window that you could put over and hold your cards in place. I used picture frame holders in order to hold the plexiglass in place on top of the cards. This is me drilling those picture frame holders in place. Now, this is the finished product, and you'll also see here what I call a happy accident. I accidentally made the plexiglass too small in one corner, but it kind of makes it perfect for pulling that plexiglass off once those slides are shifted over. Now, I bought a stencil on Etsy for the front so that I could have Dominion on there. And I made a huge mistake here, and I didn't cover the entire front, so I ended up later having to paint the big stripes that you see here in order to cover up the overspray that I messed up with earlier. At this point in time, the box is pretty much done, and it's on to the finishing, and lots of coats of polyurethane. So I also created 3 smaller boxes in a similar manner that I did to the main box. This was with miter joints, but this was out of 1/4 inch plywood instead of 1/2 inch plywood. This is to hold the main cards and components. Did I mention lots and lots of coats of polyurethane? Now this is a huge and heavy box, especially once it has all those cards in it. So I decided to install a handle on the top. This is me cutting the 4 corners before cutting it out with a jigsaw in order to install this top handle. So there it is. There's the finished product. This was a ton of fun. I love making this box. It took a long time. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you would, subscribe to the channel. Please leave a like, leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the box. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think this was a waste of time? Do you think it was a good idea? Do you have another game that you think that I should create a box for? Yeah, hit me up. I'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to see a better breakdown of what the box looks like on the inside, I already made a video describing that and showing that in more detail. Please see the video description below, or click on the eye icon up in the corner of your screen. Oh, and hey, look, it fits perfectly inside my my bag that I use to carry around different board games.